Hello everyone. I hope everyone are safe and okay. Today's vlog is how to survive a pandemic. I was morally compelled, duty bound to make this vlog for future references and also to give transparency. To give transparency. uh, we don't want this kind of events to happen globally again or even locally, uh, but to at least to give guidance in the future. We have this documentation. So at the beginning of the lockdown, uh, around February or March, I was actually not here. I was traveling because there was this job vacancy that I respond to. Sadly, uh, since there was a lockdown and all schools were closed, I could not, or there was no news anymore about that invitation. I was supposed to be locked down on that city, but I managed to get out days, only a few days before the lockdown the whole country. Uh, so to start, I was actually here uh, together with my family. I was at home. It's the first thing that I did. I stayed at home. Uh, we actually cleaned the whole place, the whole house. We sanitized it. Uh, we prepared a few emergency stocks and then a protective gears. We don't have a PPE or medical protective gears, but we actually made our own using hard hats with facial uh, masks, and then of course the our shield, facial shield, and then the facial mask, and then we also had our own uh, alcohol and by using sunrocks, those things. So we sanitized the whole place. We cleaned the whole area, and then we stayed home. We stayed home, and then when few months come by, we gather all our resources inside this place, all that we have. Then we started to do some work. Uh, carpentry. I made a few furniture. Then later on, we actually do an inventory of the house, and then started agriculture, gardening. I also became very active online. Yes, became very active online. Uh, I lost my phone that time. I lost my phone. I do not know what happened, but it was back down. It was back out. So I was already very active online, doing my readings, that also my online selling, and the orders were actually gone through online. Sometimes the buy and selling are halted because the delivery cannot pass through from the lockdown. But some have managed to be delivered completely. Then later on, I went to making tocino, selling tocino to up until until some things that can be get abroad, so imported products, online. Then you know, when we need to survive, we need to know what are our needs, the basic needs to survive. So we have here, I have a few lists here on a few basic needs to survive, from Abraham Maslow. Air, very important. Without air, we will immediately die. Water, food, shelter, safety, and then sleep, of course, regular sleep, 8 to 5 hours a day, and then clothing, need to be protected from the elements. So we secure all of those. We gather, since there is no trade, so we gather these things. I actually planted 2 trees, one Nara tree and a mahogany tree. So everything really is gathered from nature, diba? And through our ingenuity and work, we improve and make easy those things that we need. That includes our wants, our desires. Thus, we really need education. So what I did during the lockdown or the quarantine, I was just reading during the free time because they couldn't go out. I was reading, I was on the internet, researching, just reading and doing some research in the internet. And to our surplus time, because of our ingenuity, we actually we do commerce. So every time I find products to sell in the internet, I order them and then try to find a way to deliver them to their buyers. I sold one Huawei P20 phone. Yes, I sold one Huawei P20 phone. So every month I collect the payment as an installment. Then the casino. So find a source of income. So that's the first thing. We find a source of income. We gather and then we find a source of income. We work. In our case, during pandemic, there was no work, and we sell our produce. We provide our services. That's one way. That's why I was always online, doing this also, even though it is for free. You can actually support me in Patreon, and then engage in business. And then we do not just want to survive, we want to thrive, right? We want to thrive. So, second thing to do is you build your emergency fund. Build that emergency fund equivalent to 6 to 9 months. Some say 6 months is enough, but in times of pandemic, it went beyond 6 months. It's already 9th or the 10th month today. So build that emergency fund. In my case, I have a few savings. I kept a small amount for things like this. So I actually use it up. And then later on, use it as a capital. When you have savings, you actually also have access to credit. So that's a good thing also. So that's how I balance things from what I already have, and then the opportunity that was presented with it, and then from nature, gathering things. All we really need to do is to look in our warehouse or in our room. If there are things there that we are not using, perhaps we can use this on these times. So build an emergency fund. I'm actually a prepper. I love to prepare. So being so, I think that will help. That will help. Uh, I have this advice from financial expert in the Philippines. They say uh, to save or to build your wealth, you or we should live below our income. Live below our income. Identify needs and wants. So that's what we did at the beginning. So what we really need? We need air, we need water, we need food, we need shelter, we need clothing, those stuff. We need safety, security. That is very important. It is very important. So we secure those things first, and then we segregate it from wants. So the moment we already secure those needs, then perhaps we can move to the wants, to the desires. Now track your expenses, save, and build an emergency fund. It's a good thing to track your expenses. That is the most convenient way of balancing things. Diba? If you track everything that you do, I have this a notebook besides this phone, besides this device. I have this notebook from the things that I own, from my liabilities, my debts, and then to my income, and then my expenses. I wrote everything. Almost everything. I wrote everything. It's like a diary, a journal. So I wrote everything there in that notebook, and including here also. I have this app called the Money Manager. This one. This one. Yeah. I put everything there. Besides in my notebook. So that's how I did it. So build that emergency fund. Build that emergency fund up to 6 to 9 months, or if you can't do it, up to 12 months, a year. You can also diversify instead of just money. Try to stock those basic needs. Yes, because one thing I noticed during this crisis, stores are actually closed. Even though you have money, you cannot get things by merely going to a sari-sari store and then buy, or go to the grocery. You have to travel by foot. You have to travel by foot, or if you have, although you have a transport, it's not that easy to move around. So money was not really that necessary during the pandemic. It's one thing that I noticed, because during those times, people are actually again forced to close down, and then build the savings. This is not a race, but a marathon. Yes, this is not a race. This is a marathon. This is not a race. This is a marathon. When I consume, or when I spend all my emergency fund, I only have a few left. A few left in my savings. To tell you the truth, my wallet doesn't even have a cash. During those times, I don't have cash. So every time there's cash came in, I get the necessities, and then put somewhere the remaining. And I was just staying at home. That's what I did. Besides exercise. So again, I slowly build up the savings. One of my savings was actually spent. I decided to divide it into 3. One for an investment. During the lockdown, I actually decided, since I had this emergency fund, and then the credit that goes with it, or available credit that goes with it, I decided to put it into an investment. Yes, I decided to put it into an investment. And then the money with my emergency fund, that was the money that I use for things that I resell. Things that I resell, like the phone, like the luxury goods coming from imported goods, like the necessary packaging for my tocino, those things. That's how I divide the emergency fund. The actual money was spent for my inventory, and then the credit that goes with it was actually spent spent for an investment, which later on I slowly paid. And of course, it has a return. I even sell out in the middle of pandemic. One of my portfolio, one of my share was sold during that time because I ran out of cash. I ran out of liquidity. But still, I managed to stay afloat. Thanks to God, I managed to stay afloat. So again, I slowly build up, and then later on, I divided again my savings into investment, into something that is tangible that I can be used, and then an emergency fund, and the thing that I keep on rolling. So since I was, since everyone was actually put in quarantine, and we decided to just stay at home, I put all my time, or I spent all my time in developing myself. When I already consume all my books, and also the internet was not really consumed, but it was already a kind of a repetition. I decided to acquire some books. In the middle of the lockdown, I acquired 2 books. One from the corporate, the revised corporation code, and then the one from taxation. And then now I decided also to acquire another 2 books. And that's how I make money. I try to study and then apply, and then that's how they pay me. So I invest in that skill, reading, doing research, because that's how I earn my living. So I acquired actually 4 books. And since the phone that I was using was bogged down at the start of the lockdown, I acquired this new device, which I am now currently using. This is my tool now. My upgrade. I was supposed to get a laptop. I realized that I cannot move around. At some point, I already have a desktop, and there was a need to be mobile in acquiring data, like photographs, like video, like data from the internet, those things. So decided, okay, I will get a phone because that's what I am using. That's how I became mobile. But I cannot just move around and process huge data through a laptop because I cannot travel. So since it will be practical to get a phone. So build your savings. Right now I'm going back to building my savings because it was already divided into 3. My tool, my investment, the one that I use for business, and then of course savings that is currently being built. PNP has this. I read this in their brochure. PNP has actually advised their cadets to save 40% of their income. That's how they do it. And then try to maintain a 21% to 26% income credit ratio. I do not advise to shop immediately your income to 40% and then put it into savings. Perhaps you can start with 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%, 30%, 35, and then 40. That's, perhaps you can do that one. Uh, Remember, savings first minus income and then expenses. That's the advice of the financial experts in the Philippines. So savings first, and then minus the minus the income, and then that's the expenses. Or income minus savings, and then equals the expenses. Acquire income producing assets. Di ba? Yes, acquire income producing assets. Tools and machineries, business franchise. If you already can afford it, do that one. Tools that you need in your trade or craft, acquire those things, because those things will not only enhance your skill, but will also bring profit. Will earn you a living. We'll earn a living, diba? We'll earn us a living. And then educate. Always improve ourselves, diba? Always learn something. That's how we can start to invest. If we knew things, then we can invest on things that we know. We do not put our hard earned to things that we do not know. So, educate, learn, always develop or improve ourselves. So here we can perhaps put our surplus to stocks, stock ownership, to mutual funds that are diversified, stocks, bonds, foreign exchange with terms, to bonds that are given by the government for a certain period, secure debts, and then to trading or currency, which is the most high risk. Trading. I'm not sure if this is advisable, but some people do this scalp trading when it's the stocks are low. They buy and then they sell when they're already high. So that's what they do. But that is a high risk. For me, investing is much better and much safer, because regardless of the prices are depending on the stock demand being traded in the stock exchange. So depending on that, the price varies. But the health of the company is actually really being seen in the dividend being given. So if you put your money in, for example, blue chips, it will just keep on going up, because 3 to 4 months or every year they will declare dividend, and then it will goes directly to your cash. So you can either reinvest it in that company, or you can either withdraw it. That's already clean cash, clean bank. You can spend it if you want to once it is cleared, or you can buy, put on, so that you can roll on, you can grow more. That's how to do it. Besides that one, besides investing, I do some gardening. You know, the price of pepper in the market when I bought it was 25 per 3 pieces. And the 3 pieces, I dried it in the sun, and then the seeds, we grow it with some other vegetables, and then I made the garden. My father also made his own garden with another kind of plants, but I decided to make my own, and using this time the pepper, and it grew. Now I don't have to buy pepper in the market for 25 pesos. 25 pesos per 3 pieces. I can just go out there and pick the pepper. I decided to grow more. It haven't yet germinate. It's still a seedling. There were a few that did not yet germinate, but there are a few already that is a seedling, but it's not yet a full grown pepper. Also, I continue to resell things. My inventory right now is low. Still, we cannot travel around, so I decided to temporarily halt it, but perhaps this coming December, we do not know if there are available products that can be again delivered. The business was actually about delivering things that they need or things that matters, uh, that of value, that's the business about. It's not just selling, it's actually delivering to them things that of value. That's how I did it. And of course, we invested in health, in health. Besides the protective gears, uh, we exercise, we eat healthy foods, and we actually sustain it with vitamins. I think that's how that's how we did it. That's how we survived the pandemic. We stayed at home. We only go out when it is very necessary, when it is essential. And then what is at home, we utilize it. And then we grow it. I hope you gain something from our blog today. It's not that fancy, nothing nothing very exciting, but I hope you gain something, and I pray that this recovery will continue. I pray also that everyone will be together, healthy this coming Christmas. My prayers are with you, and advance Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. Stay safe. We can recover. We can recover.